Hi everybody, this is our movie in case you missed the day that we did seasonal shadow plots to help you through this. First of all, what you're going to need is you're going to need to look at what we did the previous day in shadow plots 2. That's when we took out the globes and we marked the little cards and they kind of turned out looking like this right here. If you did it correctly, and we found out that the shape of these shadow plot lines is pretty different between summer, spring, fall, and winter, and not only in terms of their shape, but in terms of their distance from the gnomon. So that's the first thing we're going to want to look at. And what we're going to want to do, now that we see it looks like on a card, you'll have to download your 3-season shadow plots if you didn't get this already. And I have just exactly what the title says. I have shadow plots from each season, but you have to figure out which one is from which season. So here's a shadow plot you have, and it's from one of the seasons. You're going to have to figure that out by looking at the card. Remember, the X's are always the gnomons. And then here is the other 2 seasons. Here's another season right here, and here's the final season right there. So what first thing you're going to have to do is figure out which season each of these are and write summer, winter, or spring, fall on them. And remember, your key for doing that is which one of these lines do they look like. Now, once you've done that and you've labeled them summer and winter and spring, fall appropriately, then I want you to find the local noon altitude of the sun, that highest altitude the sun reaches the day for each season. And we can't do that until we make a local noon line. Now remember how we do this. We've done this before. When we make a local noon line, again, I'm not going to do this for you, but I am going to explain how to do it. You're going to make a line that runs through all of the dots, what will show us the basic trend of the shadows during the day, and then you've got to find the shortest shadow. And the shortest shadow is going to be somewhere for this shadow plot right in this area right there, because those are all the shadow points that are closest to the gnomon. Now you got to kind of hunt around for that shortest shadow point, but remember, when you find it, you should be able to fold your paper right along that line. And if you have found the correct line, then when you fold the paper on that line that you drew, this half of the line should line up with that half of the line. Once you've done that, you know you've found local noon. So you'll need to do that on all 3 of these shadow plots. You will need to label them with the correct season. You'll have to draw a line that connects all their points, and then you'll have to find the shortest line of the day. This is kind of a funny one because you can see these marks are way away from the gnomon, but that should give you a clue. Right in here, local noon is going to be somewhere around that area. But you've just got to figure that out and then put the local noon line in. Now, the reason that's important is you're going to have to fill this table in, and each of these wants the local noon altitude of the sun for the first day of winter, the first day of summer, and first day of spring and fall. And to do that, you're going to have to know the shadow length, and the shadow length is going to be the distance from the gnomon to wherever the line is. Okay, for local noon. You just follow the local noon line that you made, and you just measure it, just like we did before. Okay, and you have the shadow length, then you need to go to the gnomon height. Be careful, the gnomons on all of these shadow plots are slightly different. So make sure you read that off of the paper. Okay, and then once you have the shadow length and the gnomon height, you will draw out a triangle, and that will give you the altitude of the sun. And remember, when you find your altitude, the greatest altitude could be is 90 degrees. So when you put your protractor on there, you get to ignore all those numbers that are over 90. And then the following 3 questions are just questions you'll answer about what you found out about what you wrote on these shadow plots. But the key is identify the shadow plot from the season. Do that based on what we see from this card that we did. And then find where local noon is. That's the line that when we fold it, the sides of the shadow plots line up. And then finally, go ahead and measure along from the gnomon to the shadow line. That gives you this length. Then the gnomon height is written on the page. You draw a triangle and you find the altitude. And that is our explanation for seasonal shadow plots. Thanks for watching.